Okay, so picture this, right? You're in the stands. The tension is insane. You can feel the energy. It's the Women's T20 World Cup semifinal, and it's anyone's game, but here's the thing. It's not the teams you might expect.
No, not at all.
We're talking West Indies, we're talking New Zealand, a total underdog story, and we are going to unpack why this match has had everyone buzzing ever since.
Honestly, it's incredible, right? I mean, this is the first time ever in T20 World Cup history that none of the big guns, none of them, Australia, England, India, made it to the finals.
Wow, yeah.
It's a really big deal. This match was about way more than just who won.
Yeah.
It felt like we were seeing a real shift happening in women's cricket.
Yeah, seismic almost, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but
That's good.
for those of us who don't follow cricket super closely, that's massive. Like the top 3 teams in the world, suddenly they're out.
Exactly.
So how did we even get here? Let's back up for a second, talk about New Zealand. They had a bit of a roller coaster ride to get to this point, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. They started so strong and then that stumble against Australia, but
Yeah.
let's be real. Most teams stumble against Australia.
Right, of course.
But then they pulled it back, showed real resilience. And I think what impressed everyone was the depth. It wasn't just one star player. It was a real team effort.
And then there's the West Indies. I mean, talk about a comeback story. That first match, that 10-wicket loss to South Africa, I'm not going to lie.
Brutal.
I kind of wrote them off, I did. But then they just flipped the script, turned it around like it was nothing.
They really did.
Yeah.
And that win against England, that was the turning point. The first time they'd beaten England in a T20I since 2019.
Wow.
Talk about a conference booster. It was a statement. They were not going down without a fight.
Yeah, it's like that loss, it just lit a fire under them.
For sure.
So, okay, we'll talk about where this all went down, Sharjah.
Okay.
Now, I'm still kind of learning all the ins and outs of cricket, but even I know Sharjah has a certain reputation.
Oh, yeah. Sharjah is famous or infamous for that slow, low pitch.
Right, right.
And that makes it really tough for the batters to rack up those big, exciting runs that everyone loves in T20.
Yeah, those big hits. Yeah.
So suddenly every single run is crucial, the pressure's on, and the bowlers, they have to be strategic, they have to be accurate, every ball matters.
Oh, I see. So it becomes like a mental game then.
Totally.
Like a chess match almost.
Exactly, a chess match on the field. And you saw that right away with New Zealand's innings. And for anyone listening who's new to this whole thing, innings are basically like rounds. Each team gets a turn to bat.
Yeah.
Good explanation.
Thanks. So New Zealand's openers, they usually just come out swinging, but they really struggled against the West Indies bowling attack.
They did, didn't they?
Especially Chanel Henry. She was on another level.
Oh, absolutely.
4 overs, kept those New Zealand batters in check right from the start.
It was incredible to watch, a real masterclass in bowling.
Yeah, but then we had Deandra Doughton step up for the West Indies, and she just stole the show.
Doughton, oh man.
Talk about a game changer. 4 wickets. I mean, that's insane. She took out half of New Zealand's batting lineup, just like that.
It was unbelievable, and I think it reminded everyone that on a pitch like Sharjah's, sometimes those tactical, clever bowling decisions, they can be just as important as those big, flashy shots, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's like sometimes we forget there's an actual strategy involved. It's not just about hitting the ball as hard as you can.
Exactly.
Right. Like we get so caught up in the excitement of it all, we forget that there's this whole other level to it. Like you said, a real chess match.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of which, right, New Zealand, they finished their innings 128 runs, which honestly...
Not that much.
Exactly. Especially in T20, you often see way more than that. But with that Sharjah pitch, I mean, it felt like anything could still happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The pressure was on the West Indies batters at that point. Could they chase that down? Could they handle that pitch? It was just...
It is tense.
So tense. And oh my goodness, those dropped catches.
Oh, tell me about it.
I mean, at that moment, I was yelling at the TV, I will admit it.
I feel that.
Doughton, who was already having an incredible game, right? She got a couple of lifelines from New Zealand. I mean, do you think that messed with them at all? Like, did that start to get in their heads, those missed opportunities?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely added to the whole drama of the match.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if even one of those catches had been taken, it could have changed the entire trajectory of the game. It's crazy to think about.
It really is. For a minute there, it felt like Doughton might just win the whole thing single-handedly. She was unstoppable.
She was on fire.
31 sixes over the entire tournament.
31.
More than any other player. It was incredible. But even with that, you can just feel it. Those wickets started falling around her.
They did. And that's where you saw New Zealand's experience come into play. They'd been in those pressure cooker situations before. They knew how to close out a game. And Amelia Kerr, Eden Carson, they were clutch in those final overs.
It was unbelievable. Everyone watching was on the edge of their seats. Every run felt huge. Every wicket, it was just back and forth, back and forth. You had no idea who was going to come out on top.
Honestly, it was a masterclass in staying composed under pressure, and they timed those final wickets perfectly.
And with that, New Zealand, they just snatched that victory, what could have been a huge upset. You could see the relief on their faces, the joy. But for the West Indies, I mean, just heartbreaking. What a roller coaster of emotion.
That's sport for you, right? The highs, the lows, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, all wrapped up in one.
For sure. And this match, it wasn't just exciting. I mean, we talked about how the big three weren't even there. So what does a win like this, what does this whole tournament even say about the future of women's cricket? What are we seeing here?
I think it's pretty clear. The balance of power is shifting. New teams are coming in, like the West Indies, like New Zealand, and they are serious contenders. The competition is only getting tougher, and honestly, that's so exciting for the sport as a whole.
Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air. It really is. And speaking of exciting, I have to ask, we talked a lot about Dotton, obviously, but were there any other players who really stood out to you during this match?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Haley Jensen from New Zealand, she might not have been grabbing headlines like Dotton, but she was so consistent, so reliable throughout the entire tournament.
Reliable. Okay, so for those of us who are new to all the cricket lingo, what does that look like in the context of a match like this?
So Haley Jensen is what we call an all-rounder, meaning she's strong at both batting and bowling, which is huge. It makes her a real asset to the team in basically every situation, and she delivered with both. Her contributions were a huge part of why New Zealand made it to that final match.
So it's not always about the big flashy plays. It's about showing up consistently, making those crucial contributions, even when maybe the cameras aren't on you every second.
Exactly, and that's what I love about this era of women's cricket. It's not just about a few superstars. We're seeing these amazing, talented players, both the established names and the rising stars. They're all pushing each other to be better. And as a fan, it's just incredible to watch.
I mean, it does feel like we're seeing a new era of women's cricket unfold right before our eyes, and I have to say, I'm here for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
And you know what really struck me during this match?
What's that?
The sportsmanship. I mean, even with the stakes so high, right down to the wire, you could just see both teams playing with this incredible passion and respect for the game and for each other. It was really special.
It really was. You could feel it through the screen. It wasn't just about winning. It felt bigger than that.
Exactly.
This is about pushing boundaries, but also honoring the history of the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, this match had it all, right?
Yeah.
We had those moments of brilliance, the incredible catches, those strategic decisions that had everyone talking, and then that element of surprise. Nobody knew what was going to happen until that very last ball.
So true. It was a masterclass in everything that makes cricket so captivating, even for someone like me who's still learning all the finer points. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this incredible match, what would you say is the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we're witnessing a real shift in women's cricket. New powerhouses are emerging. The level of competition is higher than ever. And honestly, I think this is just the beginning.
It's exciting, and it's a good reminder that sometimes being underestimated can be a powerful motivator. So to everyone listening, keep your eyes on these incredible athletes because they're just getting started.
I couldn't agree more.
And there you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the books. Make sure to tune in next time as we continue to explore the world of sports. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and most importantly, keep the conversation going.